Hey everybody! Well, today we're going to take a look at this little guy. Now, this is a creepy little creature that was seen in Star Trek The Next Generation. It was from an episode from season 1 and it was called Conspiracy. I absolutely love that episode because of all the crazy stuff that happens in it. But this thing is really cool. This is one of the parasite creatures that we saw. And Conspiracy was actually kind of a sequel to an episode that came up about 5 or 6 episodes prior where there were suspicions of some funny business going on in Starfleet with the higher ranking officers, and they were investigating the Enterprise. And then in Conspiracy, now we find out that there was, in fact, something going on. It was these creepy looking parasite creatures that were actually entering the bodies of higher ranking officials, and they would actually alter their minds. And they were, I guess, their intent was to take over Starfleet, I guess. So, anyway, this creature here now, I'm going to immediately start off by saying that as beautiful as it looks with this iridescent paint job, I am going to actually repaint this because if you look at the episode, it does not look like this. It doesn't have this really iridescent purple color. It's more of like a, like where this purple is here, it was more of like a pinkish purple. And then this was kind of a similar purple to what they got going on here. And there was a little bit of blue highlights too, like in this little spot right here and somewhere along the little crevices between the shell. I guess it was kind of like a shell here. So I'm going to repaint it. Some of the creatures look like they had these purple colored claws and others had tan. I'm not sure if I'm going to go with the tan or the purple. I think I might do tan just to kind of make them stand out a little better. Here's what the bottom of this looks like. Now this is very, very detailed. You can see all the detail on this thing. And the reason it is so well done is because this was actually 3D printed on a resin 3D printer. And it was made from an original screen-used prop, which is really cool. So this is about as close as you're going to get to the real deal. A friend of mine made these, and he only made 6. He did a really short, limited run, and I was really fortunate to get one of these little guys, and I'm really, really glad to get it. So let me show you some clips from the show so I can show you what the actual creature looked like. Now, in this scene, this is the first time we get to see one of these creatures. It's inside the briefcase of the Admiral, and you can kind of see the more color that this thing has. Now, let me see if I can zoom in on it, and hopefully I can keep the actual color because it looks a little bit different on TV. Okay, so now that looks pretty good. So you'll notice it has more of an overall pinkish color going on the main body section. And then right in this area here, let me see, we got this kind of, well, it's a lighter pink right in this area. And then they have these purple highlights going on here in the center and then around the little pincers right here. And it looks like it's a darker purple or a blue. It's actually kind of more of a blue color right in the center right there. I think the toenails are also more of a blue color. And then this back here is more of that purple that goes along with these. So if you look at the episode, it looks different in different scenes. I think it's because this one here is shown very, very briefly. I mean, they show it for just a second, and you get a quick glimpse at it, and you'll see that the legs are actually moving. I don't know why they didn't show this longer. Maybe when the legs were moving, it looked too mechanical or too fake, so they decided not to show it for too long. But I kind of wish they would have. But this is the one that I think gets the best close-up as far as, the actual colors of it. Now here's where Dr. Crusher discovers that the Admiral has been compromised with this creature. And that's where the tail is sticking out of the back. So I guess it's kind of like a breathing thing, like a breathing gill or something. But that's how they can tell that whoever's been compromised in Starfleet has got the creatures in them by looking at the back of their neck. Now here's where we can see how these creatures attach themselves to a human. So you can see the creature right here on the back of the neck, right in this section right here, and this is where the gill is sticking out in for the breathing. So by attaching themselves to the nervous system, they can actually control the person's brain. So the humans that were compromised by the creatures, they actually eat these things. They're kind of like mealworms. And so it's kind of funny. This episode had a lot of gross moments in it, and this being one of them. So the creature that I showed earlier that was in the briefcase was intended for Dr. Crusher. But Riker here, this is actually the back of Riker's neck, he says that because of some incidences that happened, the creature ended up being put into Riker, so we see the back of his neck. But it turns out, we find out later, that that was actually a fake one that the Doctor put on so that Riker could help out Picard while he was down on Earth. So it was a clever ruse. This scene always kind of made me laugh because Jonathan Frakes, as an actor, he had to actually act like he was going to eat these worms. And those are the actual real live worms that he grabs out of the bowl. But you can clearly see that he's grimacing right there because he has to act like he's going to eat it. And when he has to open his mouth, they quickly cut so that he doesn't actually drop them in his mouth. But it's, I don't, I just to do a scene like that would be pretty gross. Now, when they shoot this girl, they have to have the phaser set to kill in order to have the creatures come out of the human host. It doesn't kill the human, but it's the only thing that's going to get them out of there. So if I zoom in on this, we can get a little bit closer look at this. Now, this one looks a little bit different in the color, and that is because this one was a stop motion puppet. The one that was in the briefcase was more of a mechanical thing. So this one looks like it's more tan and purple. It has like more tan and purple coloring to it, but they actually use stop motion to animate these things, which is pretty cool. Here's another one that's coming out of the Admiral's mouth after they shoot him. Now here's the creature going up Remek's leg and his arm right here, and we'll get a better look at it right there. Now here we can really get a good look at it, where you can see the pinks and the purples and the blues. Now it's hard to tell the exact color of everything on here, just because of the way the film is exposed and stuff, and also here on this video it looks a little different too. But the purple on here looks a little bit darker in this area, and this is kind of a darker purple as well, and then there's like a bluish color right in the center right there. And then it's a little bit blue in between the little separations on the shell right there. And then you can also see that the claws are kind of a tan color, at least on this one. So yeah, I can't tell. It looks like the stinger, or the little gill that they breathe out of, might be pink, like the main body. So I think there's 3 primary colors on this. Well, 4 if you count the tan color for the claws right here. But yeah, I think I'm going to try to paint it using about 4 colors and try to make it look as close to that as I can. It's going to be difficult because they all look slightly different. But this was another one of the stop motion puppets. Now in this scene, as it's about ready to go into Remek's mouth, you can really see the pink and purple coloring on it. That one was probably more of a puppet and not a stop motion version of it, because it actually moves while he's about ready to eat it. Here, let me make sure I can mute this here, and we'll show you a quick little, see how it moves like that? So it's pretty creepy. Now this is the scene that got edited out in some places, or was cut altogether, and this is where Remek gets his head blown off, and it's a pretty graphic scene right here. And I'm actually surprised they got away with it on TV right there. Oh my gosh. And then we'll see that there's actually a scene right here where the queen comes out of the body right here. So Remek was actually holding the queen to all of these parasite creatures, as we can see right there. It was a pretty gruesome scene for 1987, actually. I'm actually surprised that they got away with this. I remember watching this, and I was pretty shocked. It's a pretty cool scene, though. So after they destroy the mother, the queen, we can see that there's pretty much nothing left of Remek here, but we can see that there's a whole bunch of more of these parasites down here. And they made several of them. So there's some more up here on his lap. So yeah, they're probably all painted relatively the same. They're probably rubber, but it's a pretty gruesome scene though. Now these are the paints that I've decided I'm going to use. These are craft acrylics that I got from Hobby Lobby. So for the main body color, I'm going to use this. This is Ceramcoat, and this is Exotic Orchid, and it's number 04920. It has more of a purplish, pinkish color. It looks very pink in those scenes, as you saw, but it has more of a purplish pink. It just depends on the way the lighting hit it, but I was looking at the pink colors, and it just looked too pink to me. This has more of a pinkish purple. This will be the darker purple color that I'm going to use for these highlights right in here. Those kinds of things, those little details. And then in some of them, I can see there was some blue, like this is more of a blue. And there's kind of blue, like I was mentioning, in the little cracks between the shell. And I'm going to use this. This is denim blue, and that's number 02477. So I think these three colors will work. They kind of go together, as you can see, kind of on the color wheel, I guess. Also, the inside of the pinchers right here is also this darker purple color. So this one doesn't have that color, and this is the bluish color. So anyway, I'm going to try painting this, see what it looks like. I think I am going to go with, like I mentioned, the tan claws and see how that looks. But I can always paint them purple if I decide. All right, well, let's take a look at it after I get it all done. And here it is, all finished now. So I don't know that when I first bought that purple, that light purple, it seemed like it had more pink in it than it actually did. Now that I've got it on here, it definitely looks like a darker purple. But then again, I wasn't really a big fan of the pink that they used on the production used ones. It just looks kind of weird. And since they're all painted slightly different, it's kind of hard to know really what to go with. I even saw a production drawing where the whole thing had a tan look to it and had like brown highlights where the darker purple is. So, I guess they just kind of went with that pink. I don't know, it kind of looks cheesy in some scenes, especially in the back. If you look closely at one of the scenes, you can actually see where the paint's rubbing off of the detail on there. So, yeah, it's kind of funny, but I don't know. I kind of think this purple looks good. I think these colors really work really well together. And yeah, I think it looks decent. I think it turned out really nice. So as you can see here, I did the blue in the cracks of the shell. It almost looks like a crab or something, kind of along the side here as well. The dark purple I did add to the inside of the pinchers because they are supposed to have that color. It didn't have that originally. The tan toenails, I think those actually look better than leaving them that darker purple. I think they really stand out and they look more like, an actual like toenail type of thing. But yeah, it looks really good. The bottom, there wasn't much reference for the bottom since we never got to see the bottom of the creatures. So I just kind of kept that basic and just really didn't, mess with that too much. But I think these colors look pretty decent. So yeah, this was a 3D resin printed item, and I've never seen a 3D printed resin thing in person. I've always seen the plastic ones, and you always get those horrible lines on 3D printed stuff when they use the plastic, which I've never been a fan of because you have to do a lot of work to try to get rid of those. So if I was to ever get a 3D printer, I would definitely go with the resin because this looks absolutely fantastic. I think that the details are far better. I mean, look at that. You don't get the 3D print lines anywhere. It feels almost like a rubber. And I think I saw pictures of when the gentleman that made this was working on it. I think each leg was separate from the body and the head was separate. So he just glues it all together. But yeah, this is really cool. Really creepy episode, a really cool episode. And it kind of reminds me of the SETI eel from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. I may have to get one of those sometime too. But anyway, this was a lot of fun to do, a lot of fun to paint. Really glad to get one of these since he only made 6 of them. Never seen these come up for sale anywhere before, and I happened to just get in contact with this guy, and I'm really glad to get it. I don't think he's going to make any more, so I was glad to get one while he was doing it. All right, well, anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like button and also subscribe too. I'd really appreciate that. So, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you on the next video, and have a good one.